And greetings, boys and girls around the world. A journalist who did several years worth of research into a book published her book, which she's entitled to do. The problem is, her book received a favorable review on Front Page Magazine, a website owned by David Horowitz, who claims he's a busy man, and I take his word for that he's delegated authority to others, that he himself is not even aware of much of the material on Front Page Magazine. Someone took it upon themselves to write a positive review about Diane West's book entitled American Betrayal, in which she says that the Roosevelt administration, before World War II, leading up to World War II, was so infested by agents of influence, by double agents, by spies, moles, leakers. Leakers? We don't have leakers today, do we? We don't have agents of influence today, do we? Lyndon Johnson, in my opinion, would never have started the so-called war on poverty had it not been for an agent of influence inside his government that persuaded him to do it. I'm talking about agents of influence and leakers in every administration. Nixon's White House was full of leakers who prevented him from ending the Vietnam War peacefully with a stalemate, a truce, a ceasefire, and instead millions of Vietnamese and Cambodians were killed by the communists when the communists took over. Agents of influence, leakers, communist sympathizers in the government is commonplace, widespread. It has always happened. To be shocked that perhaps there were agents of influence in Roosevelt's administration who may have steered Roosevelt's thinking in regard to the conduct of for example, the D-Day invasion. It could very well be that Stalin wanted the second front opened in France, not in the Balkans, not in the Italian peninsula. And the reason being is he had plans to take over as much of Europe as he could after Hitler was defeated. Call me a conspiracy theorist. I theorized that there was a conspiracy. I theorized that Stalin planned things in advance. That is not astonishing. That is not incredible. So Diane West mentioned the likelihood that Stalin was behind the American plan to invade occupied Europe through France, Normandy, the D-Day invasion. Perhaps that's true. Perhaps it's partly true. But is her book being silenced, trashed? Is Diane West under personal attack? Is she being discredited? Yes. And it started with David Horowitz, but I believe it started with a blunder. He simply had second thoughts about a positive review of the book, American Betrayal, and simply directed his manager of the site, Jamie Glassov, to remove it. Horowitz claims that Thereupon, Diane West began an attack on him, calling him a commissar, a totalitarian, a book burner. I happen to know that the attack was not begun by Diane West, and actually these words, book burner, totalitarian, commissar, are very tame and restrained compared to the words he used first, calling her a kook, calling her book McCarthyism on steroids. It was Radosh and Horowitz that started this attack. It wasn't simply a removal of her positive review. It was actually the beginning of an attack that is spread to other conservative sites. Diane West is being trashed consistently on numerous conservative sites, and I insist that it is baseless. The attacks are unfounded, sloppy, vindictive. I'm just appalled by all these attacks without basis. The claims made by Diane West are worth looking into and could very well be true. At least to some extent, it is worthy of an investigation. It is not worthy of suppression. Why suppress her book? Why don't you say, yes, she wrote an interesting book. I'm not sure about parts of it, but parts are very interesting. But why the trashing? That's what I don't get. Why is she being thoroughly trashed and discredited? This looks to me like a conspiracy. This looks to me like the people trashing her are threatened and trying to silence her because her book accidentally exposes them. They are the agents of influence. They, in this case, are attempting to influence the conservatives, perhaps to rein in the conservatives, to divert the conservatives, to steer the conservatives, to slightly hamper the efforts of the conservatives. I suspected from the get-go that the Tea Party was created by the left as a trap which they would control from the beginning, a trap into which conservatives would blindly enter and be rendered ineffective. This is the communist modus operandi. They are at war. The difference between them and us is they have a cause they are willing to die for, and we're not. That's why they can boast that an organized minority can outmaneuver a disorganized majority every day of the week. And they have, and they do. And I suppose they will. Unless people like Diane West are heard.
And I looked at the book. Actually, Ron Radosh called me and alerted me that the review had appeared. So I got the book off Kindle, and I began reading it. And I looked at the book. Actually, Ron Radosh called me and alerted me that the review had appeared. So I got the book off Kindle, and I began reading it. And I looked at the book. Actually, Ron Radosh called me and alerted me that the review had appeared. So I got the book off Kindle, and I began reading it.